stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Here.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Swaney,
Here.
Horton.
Here.
Present, Mr. Chairman, except for Commissioner Horton.
Thank you, Clerk Lux. Commissioner Horton did let me know some time ago that he would not be able to make this meeting, so. Next up would be approval of the agenda. We'll start out with general public comments. And then we have a presentation by Community Mental Health for Central Michigan Executive Director Brian Krogman and Community Mental Health for Central Michigan Isabella County Program Director Jennifer McNally. We have no appointments to boards and commissions. Brings us down to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
We're all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
The Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Intergovernmental Affairs, Commissioner Marino, do we have any intergovernmental affairs?
Yeah, I can go over that when it comes time, right?
Sounds good. We have no administrator controller issues. Under unfinished business, meeting venue discussion. Under new business, a couple items, Michigan Indigent Defense Commission contract. And then also we're going to consider committing some fund balance towards Sheriff's Office Correctional Facility project. And then there will be another opportunity for general public comment, announcements. Then we'll have a closed session to consider collective bargaining agreement strategy and then adjournment. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Marino.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have an agenda and that would bring us to general public comment. Anyone for general public comment? Okay, I don't see anyone either in the live audience or online. There will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting for general public comment. Brings us down to presentations and special reports. CMHCM Executive Director Brian Krogman and Isabella County Program Director Jennifer McNally.
Just started. Good afternoon. Thank you, county commissioners. All right, how's that? Is that good? Okay. I'm Brian Krogman. I'm the Executive Director for Community Mental Health for Central Michigan. And with me today is Jennifer McNally. She's our Program Director for Isabella County. She's going to give some local updates on what's going on within Isabella County. I'm going to give a little bit broader discussion about our agency. Community Mental Health for Central Michigan is a 6-county governmental authority established by the Michigan Mental Health Code. We have a 15-member board of directors and of course 1 member of the county commission of each of those counties is on our board. I'd like to thank Commissioner Hope for his participation, celebrating 5 years for his participation on our board. The counties that we do serve include Clare County, Gladwin, of course, Isabella, Mecosta, Midland, and Osceola counties. And I'd like to thank all of you for your strong support with community mental health and for your service to Isabella County. We're accredited by the Joint Commission. It's a national accrediting body for healthcare organizations. And we've held that accreditation dating back to 1996. And as a joint commission, nationally accredited organization, that really speaks to the high level of quality and safety of the services that we do provide for our members of our community. We'll be expecting our next on-site review next year. We offer a wide array of evidence-based services to children with serious emotional disturbance, adults with severe and persistent mental illness, individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and also persons with co-occurring substance use disorder services. Our vision is communities where all individuals experience fulfilled lives. We hire professionals who provide individual and group outpatient treatment services, home-based services to support the whole family, psychiatric care, case management services, and really we strive to help individuals to live independently. We offer 24-hour community crisis supports, along with a wide variety of other services. In 2021, which is the date of the annual report that you have as a handout, CMHCM across our 6 counties served over 10,500 individuals, including over 2,700 children. Of the 10,500 people served, approximately 2,400 or 23% received services in Isabella County. Across the 6 counties, CMH funded supports around 2,200 jobs, providing services to some of the most vulnerable citizens in our communities. Of those 2,200 positions, CMHCM directly employs about 420 staff, with about 165 of those staff being in Isabella County. The remainder are about 1,800 part-time and full-time workers are employed by contracted providers. Those working in adult foster care homes, providing staffing to assist individuals to live independently in their own homes and participate in their communities through skill building and support employment services. Our budget for this fiscal year that we've just begun is $142 million. Allocated to Isabella County out of that is $34 million. Isabella County, in their allocation, contributes $216,000, and we certainly thank you for your support. We know that our needs are very challenging across all of the 6 counties that we serve, including Isabella County, and particularly around direct care worker staffing and other healthcare professionals. The staffing shortages are a real challenge, and we certainly use every opportunity that we can to recruit and retain a strong workforce. So those are some updates and some information about our organization as a whole. I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer McNally to give some local updates.
Thank you. So as Brian highlighted, in 2021, Isabella County Community Mental Health provided services to 2,429 individuals residing in our county. And as he mentioned again, those services include but are not limited to case management, outpatient therapy, home-based therapy for children and families, clubhouse services, crisis services, employment services, and psychiatric services. Over this last year, we moved into a model called team-based care model to provide the care for individuals that we provide services to. This allows for each consumer to have a treatment team providing support to them rather than just one assigned case holder. We worked with the National Council to establish the best practices for team-based care. Our teams can consist of case managers, outpatient therapists, peer support specialists, nurses, psychiatric prescribers, a supervisor, and/or behavioral psychologists. Within Isabella County, we formed 5 different treatment teams to support the individuals that we serve. Each team developed a team name based upon the dynamics of their team. They've all participated in team building activities and have a specific team dashboard to review the data that they deem essential for their team. And they have designated team meetings. One of our staff said at the onset of team-based care, they were very skeptical of the team-based care model when we first moved into that model and was unsure of how this would work to provide effective treatment to the consumers that we serve. However, within the first year was able to sing praises for the benefits and supports of team-based care and can't imagine providing services any other way. In addition to that, internally, we also provide some services within the community. So we continue to provide a 40-hour-a-week dedicated therapist to the Isabella County Jail, who provides services to the inmates within the jail. Services that he provides includes jail intakes for jail diversion services, which looks at whether or not hospitalization is appropriate instead of incarceration, assessing inmates who have been placed on suicide watch and determining if they can return to the general population, meeting with inmates for counseling sessions, providing inmates with therapeutic materials, connecting with jail staff to determine if there's mental health concerns with inmates, running groups. There are different groups that are run in the jail, like plans group and a substance use disorder group, and then notifying case holders and coordinating service needs for that are already connected to community mental health to continue on their services that they're receiving. So during fiscal year 22, we provided 98 pre-booking services to a total of 89 individuals within the jail. During this time period, we also provided 1,020 post-booking services for a total of 331 individuals. This was data that was compiled at the end of August of 2022. So there will be a slight increase to those numbers once we run the full. We continue to have our jail diversion supervisor as a member of the emergency services team. She participates in those monthly meetings, and I'll schedule trainings that the team hosts to be able to provide support in that way. We did hold a one-day law enforcement training in January of 2022. We had planned to host 3 one-day trainings. However, COVID shut us down after one day, but we were able to provide training to approximately 25 local law enforcement and jail staff, and we will revisit that training again next year. We are working to pilot a tablet program with the Isabella County Sheriff's Office called a virtual crisis clinic. We're in process of getting all of the tablets that we need to be able to get that program rolling. This program will provide each deputy on the road with a tablet to directly connect individuals via a virtual connection to our crisis team at Community Mental Health for Central Michigan. Those deputies will reach out to the crisis team and connect virtually for a face-to-face contact with the individual in crisis. That can be a 15-minute contact. Once that 15 minutes has been reached, we have 3 potential outcomes that can occur. Either the deputy can transport the individual to the emergency department, they can transport them to our after-hours clinic, or the crisis team will call the individual directly, and the deputy will be able to leave the scene to address the crisis needs there. We've also entered into an agreement with Wayne State University in a research study that they're conducting. It looks at the retrospective outcomes of crisis response systems. So I did pass out a handout on the dynamics of that research study for all of you to be able to take a look at. It's going to be collecting data from our crisis department and our crisis numbers, as well as Isabella County Dispatch and the Isabella County Sheriff's Office. Lastly, in regards to law enforcement, we were approached by the Mount Pleasant Police Department to discuss a partnership on a program that they're implementing this month, which is very new to the state of Michigan, including a new program to rural areas such as Mount Pleasant. It is a peer support program that involves Mount Pleasant Police Department, Public Safety, which includes Dispatch and Fire Department. It was originally launched in Oakland County, and it involves debriefing models and connecting the law enforcement and dispatch staff to addressing the secondary traumatic needs for those individuals, basically. Moving into our school services, I did provide a handout on the youth intervention services that we provided. So last year when I was here, I noted that we had added a second youth intervention specialist to work with our school-age children throughout Isabella County. So they were very excited to be able to share the information and put together a wonderful handout for all of you to see with pictures and quotes. But for the 2021 to 2022 school year, they had over 100 students that were referred to be screened and connected to services. So they were able to identify some of the groups that they conducted regarding life skills groups, some heart-to-heart groups, mental health education. They did a friendship group, some mental health hours, and youth mental health first aid. So far this school year, they've already had 13 referrals to do screenings within the schools and 5 school collaborative consultations for pending referrals. And they also outlined on that handout what they have planned for the upcoming school year. So looking at anxiety, depression groups, a social media prevention lesson at Beale City, and then elementary school discussion lessons on anxiety and conflict resolution. We continue to participate in a number of local boards, coalitions, and meetings. Those include, but aren't limited to, the Isabella County Community Collaborative, the Isabella Substance Abuse Coalition, or Substance Awareness Coalition, excuse me, the Isabella County Child Advocacy Center, the School Safety Alliance, the local multidisciplinary team, the adult and juvenile drug court team meetings, a CQI with MDHHS, and more recently, a tiny homes village committee that's recently been formed, in addition to many others within the community. I wanted to wrap up my presentation with a success story over the last year. We had an individual who had been very difficult to engage in our services, and due to his paranoia with electronics, would often take apart his phone, thus preventing us being able to connect with him and get in touch with him. He was really on the verge of being closed to services as he refused to participate in services. However, due to a situation where he lost his housing, he made the decision to re-engage in services and come to CMH to ask for help. He was at our office frequently seeking assistance for housing, indicating that there was something about our agency that made him feel safe and that he could obtain help. He was homeless for most of the fall and winter, and at times would be found sleeping near our building. He had numerous contacts with law enforcement due to the concerns of him being homeless in the cold months. He struggled with managing his finances and completing those applications for housing that he desperately needed. Many of the local landlords would not rent to him due to past experiences. With the teamwork of one of our team-based care teams, they were able to work together to assist him in obtaining his birth certificate, help him complete and submit the application for low-income housing. Additionally, through advocacy and assistance from the team, he was able to secure temporary shared housing with funding through ACAP until he was able to obtain a small one-bedroom home that would allow him to have the yard and the dog that he's been requesting for quite some time. The team continues to support and advocate him to maintain the housing and stability in his life, and he has maintained that housing after 6 months of being there. So I'd like to thank you for your time and listening to the services or some of the services that we've been providing within Isabel County.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't really have a question, but a comment. Commissioner Marino and myself were on that board, and I just want to thank you and thank Steve Hall and for all the information we get. It's just a lot of great information, and it's wonderful.
I'm always amazed. I always say this when you guys come, but I'm always amazed at all the different programs and just the youth intervention, so important. The jail diversion, just nothing ever stays static. Folks just keep working at it and keep working at it, keep changing and keep tweaking things. And it's one of the most, I guess, satisfying things I can do as a county commissioner is be part of your board. It's been quite an experience. And I try to keep up with it all. Sometimes I feel like it's not my area of expertise. And I should say that Brian is our brand new executive director. He's been in the position for a few months after the retirement of John Obermisek, and just kind of hit the ground running. They hired the right person, although Brian's been with the agency for quite a few years. So it was a good, smooth transition. That's all I have. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. We have no appointments to boards and commissions. Brings us down to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
All right, let's get on the roll. The first item of business is consider ratifying and placing on file the September 16, 2022 invoice list in the amount of $131,506.30. The September 23rd, 2022 invoice list in the amount of $354,793.35. And the adjustment list dated September 29, 2022. Both lists, both September 16th and September 23rd really had only a few entries that exceeded the reporting requirements. And we do get all the background information on all the payments that are made. Of the ones that were reported, there was nothing that really stood out to me that was unusual or unexpected. I don't know if anybody has any questions on either one of the invoice lists. We all had a chance to look at it in advance, and it was gone over on committee. Then on the adjustment list, looks like Gordon Food Service took the majority of the slots. I have to get my phone open here. There we go. Most of them, again, Gordon Food Service payments so that we could get a early payment discount. There was an Amazon Capital Services. There was a very small decrease of $1 due to an entry error. So that was taken care of. And then on the September 23rd list, again, it's Gordon Food Service for most. There's one that was invoice added for $96 for Destiny Russell. I'm not sure what that was about, but I'm sure it was a needed payment. And
I can
other
add
than
some
that,
detail to that if you'd like. That's our CMU intern in administration, and we didn't want her to have to wait for her first check, so.
okay. And the rest were just kind of minor, removing a sales tax or entry errors, minor ones. So any questions on either one of the invoice lists or the adjustment list? If not, we'll move this on to tonight's meeting. The second item is consider approving the agreement with Secure Alarm Systems Incorporated for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2023 for the security at the trial court, sheriff's office, county building, and commission on aging in the amount of $45,480 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. This contract is for administration of critical security services, and we'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
A yearly contract to make sure that we're functioning and having our cameras and our doors and our panic buttons all work and tested and such. And I've been bringing this to you since 2009. So here we are again.
We have a longstanding experience with this company. It's done well for us. And I didn't realize until I kind of read the background information this time is that there is an equipment repair and replacement provision. I didn't see a list of what was included, but
Cameras, different cameras. If it's a newer model, they make us pay for some of it, but typically we stick with
Okay.
the old stuff.
So-
If we get new services like new readers on the doors for a door that was never done before. I want to state that this only went up $1,200 and last year there was no increase. So they really do treat us fair. Raising us so much every year. And I like,
I think that computes out to about 3%, which is very reasonable in this day and age.
Mhm.
Any questions on this contract? We'll move this forward then to tonight's meeting. Thank you. The next item is consider approving the agreement with Secure Alarm Systems Incorporated for the period of October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023 for security at the Public Defender's Office in the amount of $3,468 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. I think we're looking at the same contract just for another facility that was added late.
you are, and this one did not increase at all. And this is for the Public Defender's Office. It was last year I put them together and you pulled them apart for voting, so I just did it.
And I noticed this contract does not have an increase, so we better adopt this one quick before the company realizes they didn't add their 3%.
But we do have Mr. Hausman online. I don't know if he wants to add anything.
Maybe if I can start my video. I like to take credit for it not increasing.
You'd make a good politician. Any other questions or comments? Then we'll move this forward to tonight's meeting. The next item is consider approving the agreement between Debt Book and Isabella County in the amount of $9,750 for the period of October 5th through 2022 through October 4th, 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. think I'm gonna let the administrator take this over. I know there's a new GASB requirement dealing with leases and as I was going through this, I was thinking about Parks and Recreation, some of the leases we had and what might pertain and the reason why this might be a good change, but obviously the software is needed to help manage all those leases.
Exactly, you're exactly right. Commissioner Jelazinski, the GASB is GASB 87. If anybody out there follows that kind of stuff, but we do have to have GASB 87, which does have to do with leases, incorporated into our financial statements for fiscal 22 that we just finished, that will be audited, throughout the winter months. So the lease information we need is whether the county is lessee or lessor. It looks at both assets and liabilities in terms of leases. And as we've asked the department heads and electeds to turn those into admin, we're finding there's more than maybe, we thought were out there. So at the time of the writing of the staff report, I know we had identified over 20 leases that had made their way to admin. We reached out to professional services to say, could you glean the information from these leases and generate the journal entries needed to incorporate GASB 87 into our fiscal 22 financial statements. And the response we got was that it'd be about $1,000 to $1,200 per lease to extrapolate that information. So we did, one of our accountants, Melissa Franquist, found this product debt book by recommendation of our auditors. And we underwent a few demos with the company to see what it could do. Right now, they're offering a free white glove implementation, which usually costs $2,000 to extrapolate that information and enter it into the software. They've extended the free white glove to tomorrow's date. They had it through September 30, and I told them I couldn't get board approval on this prior to the end of the white glove implementation period, the free period, and so they extended it, luckily. So that is why the funky term on that agreement. It doesn't start until tomorrow, but as long as it's approved tonight, they'll glean that information from the leases we send them. Now, the $9,750 price tag is for the annual maintenance on that debt book software. That's what it's going to cost us in the first year to have that. I don't know if we will have to continue with that software. One nice option about it is it does let you export things to Excel. So I don't know if we can, then we'll have our own database, or if it's something we will have to go year after year. But if we do, it's something we can certainly budget for. And in the current year, I'm suggesting that we take the money from admin contracted services. That's a budget amendment I can do, because I would, actually, it's probably gonna, well, no, there's a software line. So I'd just reduce the expense in contracted services and increase it for the same amount in the contracted service, or in the software line.
A lot better price than doing all those leases ourselves, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. It is. And to be able to generate those journal entries that we need that's what we need.
It'd be interesting to take a look at a list of those leases when it's all done, just for our own knowledge.
I will make sure that that's made available to you.
Other comments or questions? Then we'll move.
Just real quick, says the new government accounting standard board. Is that just new, this 87? Is that just brand new?
Not brand new. It's been out a couple of years. We've had some time to incorporate this, but now we're out of time because we've just ended the fiscal year that it has to be incorporated into. So when the auditors come to audit it, they'll be looking for these journal entries to have been entered in our system and basically booked at 9:30.
Okay, I'm just aware of the gap requirements in counting, and I was just kind of curious, is this is the government's standard, that's what they use, but they also use gap in there, which is general accounting accepted practices in there.
Yes, they do. But I think these are specific to government. So the next one we'll have to roll out in our fiscal 23 documents, as I understand it, is GASB 96, So there's been a few that didn't cost us money, maybe. But you can see how aggressively maybe these come out. So next year will be GASB 96, and that has to do with leases, agreements in the IT realm for services and information systems. So they just keep coming. We're required to have it. If we don't, we'll get written up in the audit, and then it's kind of an unknown consequence, right, at that point. I'm
Other
glad you know your
questions?
acronyms.
Hearing no further questions, we'll move this on to tonight's agenda.
Yep.
The last item is consider adopting Isabella County General Administrative Management and Operations Policy number 225, Insurance Committee Policy with a recommended changes effective immediately upon adoption. I know that, we have people that make decisions on the fringe benefits that our employees receive. And in the past, it just has not been input. And I think sometimes that raises questions in the minds of people. And I think this is a good way to go, to set up a committee. That committee can communicate with their peers and other employees. And I think it keeps us all on a page where we're all working together to do the best we can for the employees in their various fringe benefits, but also keeps us with the final decision to make sure we can keep it within our budgetary means. Administrator Foss, do you have anything to add to that?
I maybe would just point out some changes that came out of the discussion Tuesday at committee. Finance did look at this. I know this started in the HR committee, but then when it goes to a policy, I suppose admin brings things to finance. And so that's kind of why it jumps committees. So I'm glad it's at the full board for lots of discussion. My apologies if we caused any ill will there. So changes, you can see we're left in red from the original draft. We made changes since Tuesday, and those are in red. We just added prescription coverage to the definition of what is an insurance-based benefit. We had medical, dental, vision, life, disability, but we just one of the commissioners reminded us of how important the delineation of prescription insurance is outside of medical and in addition to that. So we added that to clarify this does include prescription coverage. I'll be looking at that. As far as committee membership, we did just make a spelling correction to designate. And then we also added that the discussion came around to maybe the chairperson of the board wouldn't want to serve on that committee necessarily. So we did say chairperson of the board or designee. So we made that change. We also made changes to meeting frequency. There was discussion about how often the committee would meet. We didn't really want to put that in policy, but great discussion among the commissioners. And thank you, Karen Jackson, for sending me language as follows. Chairperson of the Board of Commissioners shall annually appoint. Nope, that's the wrong language. Meetings are to be scheduled at the discretion of the committee chairperson or upon the request of 2 or more voting members. Committee really liked that idea. And I think originally in the draft, we had the payroll benefits administrator serving as chair, but in talking that through, what if that position was vacant? Right? Why write into policy that it be a certain position? So the reason that was changed is because if a position were ever vacant, I about fell out of my chair. That's one position I don't want to be vacant, but I do appreciate the thoughtful discussion in that regard. So we changed that to say the chairperson of the board shall annually appoint 2 persons from the voting membership of the insurance committee to serve as chairperson and a vice chairperson. You can certainly appoint yourself to serve in those, but those are the only changes that came out of committee. But I think they speak really well to the concerns.
I think so. Commissioner Horton pointed out a lot of those what ifs in the committee meeting. Being a lawyer and being very thorough person. So that was good. We've had a lot of discussion on this, and from what I've seen, it's been very well received. A lot of large employers have an employee insurance committee, and I think it's a good idea for us at the county to do the same. It kind of it puts representatives from the committee into different areas, employee areas of the county that can discuss possible changes with their coworkers. So it's going to be a good thing.
Commissioner Engler, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a discussion, somebody just retired recently from a business and I thought they would be perfect to serve on this committee, and unfortunately, they don't want to serve on the committee. But we'll work on that. But they went to self-funding their business about 15 years ago, about 120 employees, and first year they saved about $400,000. So, and he says that it's worked well for them right up until he retired. So I'll still kind of work on that because I think that would be somebody that's been through the process would really be helpful. But
Sounds
the
like-
savings is definitely there, and he said they really haven't had any pitfalls. They had a couple people that had some catastrophic illnesses like cancer, and they still that it was a good choice for them. So just thought I'd bring that up. So
I do have one more question. I noticed that the committee has a retired member on it and that we don't provide fringe benefits for retirees. What was the thinking behind that?
When you retire from Isabella County, you have the opportunity to take our insurance or not. If you take our insurance, you pay for the whole cost of that, but there's never any input about the insurance from the retirees. They're not given a choice among plans. Here's your plan. Do you want to buy this plan for your insurance or not? And so the feeling was that their input would be appreciated on the committee because the benefit does impact them. It's not county sponsored, or well, it's not county paid, county sponsored benefit, not county paid.
Questions, comments? We'll move this forward then to tonight's regular meeting. And Mr. Chairman, that does complete the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Commissioner, that would bring us down to Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
All right, our first item, consider approving the fiscal year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement in the amount of $11,044 and authorize the board chair to sign. We have the Emergency Management Director, Mark Griffiths, here to go over this. Have this grant to help pay his salary.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So this is that after the fact that we just did the work agreement. This is where they actually pay us for the money. I'm very happy to tell you that $11,044. It's a record high in my career of a one-time first payment of 40% of almost meeting the 50% match that they proposed. Very good thing. It's budgeted as our revenue as we go forward. So all the hard work that I do is going to bring this in for you guys and hopefully go into our budget. So that kind of stuff. Any questions?
Any questions? Nope, we're all just very appreciative of the work you do to save us
Yep, good work.
on everything. Thank you. All right, we'll move that forward to tonight's regular session.
okay, next up, we have consider approving the agreement for the attorney services for the indigent individual, the managed assigned counsel contract effective October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have with us the public defender, Hausman with us. As you understand that when our plan pays for 75% of it through the public defender's office, 25% of the contracts will go to independent attorneys. And this is a contract for those 25. And just like everybody else, it's been difficult to get people to fill those slots. So Public Defender Hausman, would you like to comment?
pretty much nailed it on the head right there. This is the contract we go forward with every year for that additional 25% of the criminal cases, as well as those cases that are not controlled by indigent defense. So your probate cases, your mental health cases, your juvenile delinquency, as well as the neglect and abuse cases in the probate court. So the contract attorneys handle those cases that grant wise our office is not able to handle. After our meeting last week at the committee, I did sit down and meet with Judge Black to talk about recruitment of attorneys to join that contract to help out with those cases. So him and I are gonna start meeting more regularly to see what we can do in order to help recruit some more attorneys to join and help out on those cases. But as of right now, I'm awaiting one more signature from one of the attorneys on the contract. I got everyone else's signatures today, but this is just re-upping that annual contract that we enter into every year.
Okay, any more questions for Public Defender Hausman? Seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight's business session, and Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us down to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Here, our first item is consider approving fiscal year 2023 agreement for extension services between Isabella County and Michigan State University Extension in the amount of $169,684 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. At our committee meeting, Eric Arbowski talked to us about this item, which happens periodically since the Michigan State University Extension streamlined its funding 10 years ago. And it's an agreement between the county and Michigan State Extension, which is really, really valuable to us. We really appreciate it. They have 4-H, they have soil people, they have nutrition. Okay, agriculture and agribusiness, children and youth development, including the 4-H, health and nutrition, and community food. That's what we would be extending. Questions or comments on that? Go ahead.
My apologies for Eric not being here. Where generally admin brings this contract forward. We tried something new to bring our monthly extension before the commissioner. And I don't think that Eric is really in tune to the committee and board process. So it's totally my fault for maybe not extending that invitation for him to be here. So my apologies to Eric and to the board for that. But the annual MSU extension memorandum of understanding is so that, MSU reorganized a lot of things with extension a few years ago. And now, remember back in the day, they used to be employees. A long time ago, they made that change, but now what the county pays for is a standard base agreement that MSU has come out with. And that gives us a half-time 4-H agent. Here in Isabella County, we said we want more than that for our residents, for our youth. So we pay a little extra to have a full-time 4-H agent here. The other thing this gives us is that we pay for that full-time admin assistant for the MSU Extension office. That's not included in the base agreement. We pay for that extra, and we pay a little stipend to have some master gardener assistants here. The whole thing total about just over $169,000.
I didn't mention that there's going to be a recoup. I know it's been a real strong.
Multi-county, they're looking at something multi-county with master gardeners, I think, because I think county by county, it has dwindled after COVID, and I think they have to have some kind of collective effort.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Serving on the District 6 MSUE committee, I'm always I guess I shouldn't be surprised by all the services they provide. Not only do we have staff here at the county, but if there's a expertise that's housed at another county, they can be drawn in to help with issues locally. And when you talk about nutrition, I know that in nutrition, I had signed up with some of the members of the Shepherd Knights of Columbus because we have food services and they provide that kind of training. So you have, healthy food service, not going to endanger somebody. The 4-H program is really invaluable. We don't have enough youth programs and they do a very good job. And Paul and his expertise dealing with agriculture and animal husbandry. I mean, the people that are out there growing our food, they're focused on doing what they need to do. We have somebody in the background that's looking at the big picture and being able to coach and say, well, maybe we can do this a little bit different. Here's a new opportunity. I mean, for the $160 some thousand, it is really a good bargain for this county and our residents.
Comments, this will go to our evening meeting.
Okay, number 2 item, consider approving zoning amendment 22-03, which would rezone the subject property from medium density residential and general agriculture R2 and AG-2 to light industrial I1 and authorize the county board chairperson to sign official zoning map. We have Bert to report on this.
Good afternoon. This is a rezoning request, a map amendment, as stated in the motion. And it is in section 11 of Isabella Township. It's a parcel of land approximately a quarter mile south of Denver Road on North Mission on the east side of the road. Property's been used for a long period of time for industrial type use. There's a lot of buildings on the property. There's a lot of tractor trailer traffic and trailers on site on the property. The applicant has requested to rezone that to industrial I1. The property is currently split zoned. The frontage is zoned as R2, medium density residential. The back portion of the land was zoned as agriculture. This property adjoins and abuts the northern boundary of the village of Rosebush, which is why there was an R2 designation out at the road. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on September 8th. They heard no correspondence written or communicated to our office prior to the meeting, and there was no communication at the public hearing either. The Planning Commission did follow the guidelines within the county ordinance, section 1508. And went ahead and recommended unanimously for the county board to approve this zoning amendment. So today I'm just here to make that modification to the map.
Questions?
Yeah, just one question. I'll show my little ignorance on this, but there's a pond on there. When it changes from to light industrial, does that change what they have to do with that pond or?
No, there will be no change necessarily to what they have to do to the pond. Depending upon what type of activity and use goes there, there may be some regulatory controls that are impacting the pond. But that would be at a site plan process.
Okay.
And that's regardless of what district it is, it would still have to be taken care of through MDARD probably.
Okay, thanks.
Questions? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
We'll move that forward to tonight's regular session.
Okay, our next item is consider approving fiscal year 2023 County Veterans Service Grant Agreement between the Michigan Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, and Isabella County in the amount of $61,297.50 for enhanced veteran service operations. Authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have the chair, Director of Veterans Affairs, to give us background on this.
So this is the grant agreement that was actually applied for back in, I think it was June, that final contract came through. That was supposed to happen in August, but finally got that. Just to refresh your memory, what the services that we are applying for, I should say where the funding is going to go towards. It would be the Lamar billboards, the electronic billboards on Mission and M20. We're using the ICTC Wade Promotions, is the name of the company, but ICTC bus ads that'll be going around the county. There's actually going to be a small reduction. We currently have 11 ads that'll be reduced to 9 because, well, we have less money, unfortunately, from the state. I'm hiring a professional photographer to put up our Veterans Affairs Committee and some of those ads. So it'll actually be local veterans, our VA committee members, that you'll start seeing in more ads. And then money towards purchasing booth fees. Some of the events that I go to, unfortunately, do charge a fee. So that I'm not barred from going there or have to get donations in other ways. I can end up going there, like the Home Builders Show and Isabella County Fair and things like that. And then purchasing just what we call swag, basically items that bring people over to the booths, which are great at essentially generating those conversations to talk with veterans and surviving spouses, get those benefits going for them. So anybody have any questions?
Hearing none, thank you, Ian. And we'll bring this to the board meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Okay, item 4, consider approving the individual service contract between Isabel County Commission. Whoops, I'm ahead of myself. Let's back up. Consider approving the contracts between CNR Electric LLC and the Isabel County Lighting retrofit in the County Administration Building, the County Commission on Aging Building, and the Trial Court Building in the amount of $65,635, and are authorized the board chair to sign the contract and budget amendment number 2023-01. We have Steve Shoemaker.
Afternoon, everybody. As you can see, one of the first things that really struck my eye when I took this job 2 years ago was all the fluorescent lighting that was in all our buildings. They are very energy inefficient and costly to operate. So I've been putting together, I picked the 3 biggest buildings we had, 3 biggest bills, and having a retrofit of going through all of them to refit every light that is fluorescent LED. We had 9 contractors that showed up at our RFP meeting. 4 put in bids, 1 was deemed unresponsive. As you can see from your staff report, CNR Electric was by far the best option for us. This is something that they will take care of generally during business hours, except for the courthouse and hearing rooms, which obviously can't be done during business hours. But on that, I think this would be a great savings to the county in the years to come.
Yeah, not only is it a good price, but the benefits of this is just saves you down the road. I mean,
Well, it's low hanging fruit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know if you look at the invoice list every month like we do, if you notice the electric bills, they're quite hefty for the admin building and the courthouse and the jail. Close to 20,000 a month, I believe. So this will help. It was on the capital improvement plan. We kind of advance that forward to get it taken care of sooner so that we can start saving money on those. I appreciate that. Mr. Jelzinski.
I was involved with the retrofitting of all the indoor and outdoor lights on the campus of Clinton County. And I was surprised when the sheriff's department came up and made a comment that the lighting had one additional advantage, and that is with the cameras, the conventional lighting apparently didn't always provide a clear lighting of what they were looking at. But with the LED lighting, it was a much better picture, a sharper, clearer picture that you could identify the subject in the background. So we'll have to see if that's the same experience we have here in our own cameras.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I just wanted to be upfront about how we're paying for this, because if you remember in a budget amendment we did for fiscal 22, we thought we could get these done sooner. The contract part took a little time, so it did pull into fiscal 22. So part of your motion is our first budget amendment for fiscal 23 being we're 4 days into the fiscal, why not? But if you want to be upfront that it's coming from fund balance, right? We didn't build this expense into fiscal 23. We actually did a budget amendment because we thought we would get it done in fiscal 23. Contract language just took a while, so, I just want to be upfront about that. It's coming out of fund balance. However, this expense is going to pay us back over time.
Yeah, I saw that in the contract, we're responsible for disposing all the fluorescent tubes. What is the county plan for that?
We take them to the recycling center, to the
Okay.
MRF, and have them disposed of.
Jake is aware that's coming.
All right, great, thank you.
Anybody take their fluorescents to the MERV or just county?
Don't think so.
From the public or not?
I would encourage you to call out there, Commissioner. I would encourage you to call them.
Feel Commission Engler's thunder,
Go ahead.
because we have a hazardous waste collection coming up towards the end of the month that will accept those tubes, and I think they accept those tubes and batteries. In-
22nd is when it's gonna be on a Saturday, so you did steal my thunder, so I can write that off from my announcements, but yeah, so that's coming up and they will accept them, so.
I need someone to take my fluorescent tubes there on October 22nd, because I'll be out of town. Do that for me?
I would like to read the three, just so the public knows, the three bid amounts, $65,635. Second was $113,334, and third was $118,419. So it is quite a savings. So. Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. Oh. Another question? Thank you, Steve. And anything more, we'll move that to tonight's regular session.
Our next item is consider approving the individual surveyor. Bella County
I have to,
Commission Roger Stremlow, Larry Davis, and Paul Stickler for services as bulk food meal delivery driver effective October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. We have Mr. Crawford. Okay, on this. Thank you. I hope you heard me. There. Thanks.
Yeah, so, good afternoon. So this, I don't know, this is so quiet, it felt like. This contract before you, these are our personal service contracts with our bulk meal delivery drivers. So we have three wonderful individuals who take this on for us, and they all have been here for quite a long time. We have two routes. So we have two main drivers and one sub. So we have Roger Stremlow, Larry Davis, and Paul Stickler. Paul is the sub for the routes. And they take our bulk meals from here to our main kitchen here out to our satellite sites for our congregate meals. And then that also on the days that we're doing meal delivery, which is the same days of those meals, they also will take the home delivered meals out to those sites as well. So if the drivers in those areas are living out in that area and it's closer for them, they can pick up there as opposed to coming all the way into the Commission on Aging to get their coolers to make the delivery. So it's a great service that they provide for us. It's a big help for us to get that food out there.
Any questions or comments on this item?
Just a comment, but I've seen those same names since I've been on this board, and I'm thankful to those folks that
Yes.
they keep doing that.
Yes, absolutely. They're great. They're great.
Okay, with that, that will be moved to this evening's meeting for action.
Okay, next item, consider approving the individual service contracts between Isabel County Commission on Aging and Elizabeth Jane Starr Gefford for services as a registered nurse effective October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So this personal service contract is with our RN, which is a required position for us to have with the grant funding we receive through Region 7 Area Agency on Aging. And what this position does is They will come in and they review all of our assessments and reassessments for personal care, respite care to make sure that our clinicians or our social workers have all the information in there that is necessary for the reporting. And so it's a great help for us. Also, again, something that is required of us to have. And Jane does a great job. You know, we typically allow for 10 to 15 hours a month, and she is so efficient and has been way under that every single month. So it's just on our need, as you know, for as many as we have at the time, she comes in and gets it done, and she's willing to keep doing this for us. So it's been a great relationship with her.
Questions? Again, we want to thank her too. I mean, this is something that, you know, she's not doing it for the money, and it's it just helps the county tremendously.
Okay, our next item is consider approving the Medicare Improvement for Patients and Providers Act, MIPA, Beneficiary Outreach and Assisted Purchase of Service Agreement between Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program, MMAP, and Isabella County Commission on Aging, effective September 1st, 2022 until August 23, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So this agreement, we've had this for many, many years as well. This is a great program that we're able to take part in. All of our social workers, the 4 that we have on our team, they're all MAP counselors, which is that Michigan Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program. And with this, when they're able to help individuals in our community with those really confusing applications, which are so cumbersome and very difficult to get through, by helping them, we actually receive funding for the applications that they help with. So we get $150 for every low income subsidy application, and $200 for the Medicare Savings Program applications. And just in the last year, we've actually trained some of our really faithful volunteers that help out with the Medicare D open enrollment program. And we have some incredible volunteers in that program. They're so knowledgeable. And so we actually put 2 of them through the training this last year. So they're also MAP counselors. And so last year, our number went up as far as the amount of these applications we were able to process due to the increased help and staffing. So last year we processed 27 applications and brought in $4,000 in revenue for the Commission on Aging, which is wonderful. And we helped that many more individuals in our community, which was great. So.
Isn't that time coming around for open enrollment? So this is really timely.
Yes, it's happening. We're getting ready. They were in training today, and they've started taking October 1st. We started making appointments or taking appointments. So that 6-week period is coming quick, and we'll be very, very busy here. It's awesome, which is awesome.
Go ahead.
Jen, is this program open to anyone, or is it just low income people that you have to qualify?
These specific applications, these are a lower income applications. Through the LAS and the Medicare Savings, they both are income based. But again, you know, our staff, they help everyone through the entire Medicare process. So even if they don't qualify for these applications, these specific ones, they can help them navigate the system as a whole without that.
Nice. Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to the next item.
Okay, our last item is consider approving the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging contractual agreement with Isabel County and other required documents for fiscal year 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
This is our big funding agreement that we receive for our in-home and nutrition program. This is our annual contract with Region 7 Area Agency on Aging in the amount of $239,824 for fiscal year 23. It's the first year of a 3-year agreement. We do multi-year agreements with them. So this is our first year. We do go through the same process though every single year, but this is marked the first year of this 3-year agreement. So it's really invaluable to us. It is about 20% of those 2 programs of their budgets. So it is definitely a substantial amount of funding that we receive to be able to provide those services.
Hey, does anybody have any questions? Looking, seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight's regular session.
Thank you.
Very serious.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next up is Intergovernmental Affairs, Commissioner Marino.
Yes, we did have a meeting of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. It was Wednesday, September 28th at 9 a.m. was a meeting. The attendees were Nicole Frost, so Meg Oakland. Oh, geez, I'm gonna put that somewhere.
Doesn't want to stick with you.
Yes, right. Like I said before, my microphone dropped. We had our meeting of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Affairs Liaison Meeting, September 28th at 9 a.m. It was a Zoom meeting. And the people that were there representing the county, Nicole Frost, Tobin Hope, myself, representing Union Township, Mark Stoller, the manager, and representing the city, Aaron DeSense, representing Union Township, the clerk, Lisa Cody, a supervisor, Brian Milkey. And this is what we talked about. The first thing we talked about from Union Township was Hannah's Bark, the dog park. We were informed that they were to get a grant from Mid-Michigan Development to work on that, and also very interesting to continue the pathway going through the county. So Union Township is working with the city on that. And from Shepherd to Union Township, then north to Baseline Road. It's quite exciting to hear about the continuation of this pathway, which is a really long one. It starts way down. I often see it when I'm by Alma and St. Louis and Ithaca, and lots of people use it, biking and all that sort of thing. So that's really good news. Oh, I forgot to mention one other attendee. That was Amy Perschbacher, the mayor of Mount Pleasant. So like I said before, this project is led by the city with Union Township as a funding partner. This manager, Mark, also said that Union Township is spending some American Rescue Plan funds, $1 million to work on Broomfield with 5 inches paving, 5 inches new asphalt. Broomfield Road east to Crawford Road to fix the roughness. It's going to be 3 lanes to the intersection. Also outdoor fitness facility at McDonald Park improving. There was a grant for $35,000, which will be a couple-year project. And there's a community-wide group dealing with spending American Rescue Plan monies in south of Broomfield, 500 feet refurbished. And Lincoln, there will be another lane. That was what we got from Union Township. Then our administrator controller provided some information about the correctional facility, which was first costed out at $60 million. And they were working on engineering fixes, tweaks, brought it down to 40 million. And she spoke about the U.S. Department of Agriculture loan that the county will need an influx of revenue to go forward with the project. Next, we discussed the material recovery facility. Oh, no. Also, one more thing on the correctional facility. The administrator controller mentioned a possible juvenile holding facility idea for the old jail to generate revenue at the new site. See. She also mentioned and brought up by the city manager was the millage, the possible public safety millage. And there was lots of discussion generated on this. Mainly some complaining and not favorable attitudes about this that he heard of, which was interesting to hear. Another person asked the city if they had their own holding facilities, and he said no. So the city does benefit from our jail quite a lot, actually. Okay, next topic was the the materials recovery facility. Sorry. The clip fell off too, so. The feasibility of the MRF plan will be done at the end of October. Possibly one of the implications that I heard, possibly the county shouldn't be in the curbside recycling anymore, given the return on investment. Some townships, Rollin, Lincoln Township, don't want to they want to step back from curbside. Maybe you could correct, that's what was happening. Okay, there's a lot of information here. Okay, the city discussion was on $750,000 from the American Rescue Plan being used for parking lot 3 to resurface it. And also at the water resource facility, 3 to 4 year upgrade plan with a cost of $24 to $26 million. They're looking at water plant automation because they have a 24-hour cycle of employment, and with that automation, that would really cut costs and still provide the services. And in capital improvement for the city, there's a $1 million price tag on retaining wall issues, cracking M20 at the pedestrian bridge on Watson. Similar to the county's problems in this area, the city mentioned that inflation of 20 to 40% higher costs for potential projects, given the inflation. So they're facing some of the same issues we were facing with the correctional facility and other capital improvements. I did ask the city manager about the connection of Nottawa Township sewers to the city system. He said the city is ready for that to take place, but so far the township is not ready. It's been another long time project and very important dealing with E. coli in the Chippewa River. Another thing that was mentioned by Chairman Hope was the Orange Shirt Day in memoriam of the Indian Residential School. Next thing we talked about was frequency of meetings, and that's agreed to be 3 times a year. If the chairman or administrative controller have any other things to say, it was a lot of stuff that is trying.
There was a lot there. Yeah, it's a great group. It's always very informative, but you pretty much covered it, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thanks. That concludes that.
Unless Administrator Cross wants to add anything? No?
Very thorough.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Unfinished business, Isabella County Board of Commissioners meeting venue discussion. Commission on Aging's been a wonderful host for us. My car on Tuesdays knows to come right here now. It's kind of gonna have a hard time going back to the administration building because automatically just drive here probably. I don't know if we're keeping you from hosting any other groups where you could utilize this room.
She's not
But I-
saying.
She's not. But it's worked quite well for us, I think. What's that? Thank you. So I don't know if any other commissioners have any thoughts on,
I've been delinquent in getting out an RFP for the AV at the county building. Be bringing that forth, there's a few other things got in the way. Still the hope to do that RFP. For the AV at 225 and 320.
which is kind of why we're here, because the AV system in the county building is so bad. It's so terrible. And this has worked very well.
That was gonna be my question. Is the administration building prepared?
No, sir.
Oh.
No, sir.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that. I don't see anything, so we'll move on to new business. Item A, Commissioner Engler Sweeney, did you gentlemen figure out
We did.
which one of you is going to present that?
Consider entering into the contract with the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission in the total amount of $1,600,332.76, with the state contribution of being $1,360,026.67, the local share being $240,306.09, and authorized board chair to sign the same. This is probably going to be one of our easier decisions to make because of the financial impact. Just a real brief history. What was, I think, 2013, the state said that we had to start developing a plan by 2017 through a lot of negotiations and everything. We talked earlier about the percentages of how we came up with that. And I think we entered into agreement for 2019 through 2022. The act said that there were going to be 8 standard and we had to meet the first 4 immediately. I think that this next one, the 2022, has a 5th standard, which we are prepared to well prepared for to do. I guess the bottom line is we're required to meet these standards regardless if we take the state share or not. So we have online the public defenders, Thomas Hausman will take any questions on this. But like I said, it's a pretty easy vote, I think, because of the financial impact. So public defender Hausman, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Again, Commissioner Engler, you pretty much hit the nail on the head on this. First, I apologize. I know I had mentioned last week on Tuesday at the committee meeting that we were awaiting this contract, and I had asked our regional director at MIDC many times, where's the contract? Where's the contract? It came out much earlier last year. I think I received a notification in our eGrams account on Thursday saying the contract was available. I went through the contract today to make sure that it remained unchanged from previous years. In fact, it remained completely unchanged, including the dates. And so I had to go back to MIDC to make sure that the dates were corrected in the contract. And so that's been taken care of. But like you said, we have to comply with the standards. We comply with all 8. We thought it was better to start out complying with all of them rather than piecemeal it all together as we go. So we're in full compliance with all 8 proposed standards, 5 of them now that are required. But we have to comply with them regardless of whether we submit a grant or not. So, done our part, and this is the signing the paperwork from the state.
Okay, is there, yes, Commissioner Jelasinski.
Well, I know Commissioner Engler and I served on that committee as we studied which direction we wanted to proceed, and we decided to go with opening up a new department for the bulk of the cases with assigned counsel for the balance. And even though we all were unanimous on doing what we actually did, I had this feeling deep in my stomach that the state would eventually kind of reduce their funding and leave more and more of an obligation to the county like they've done in other grant programs. But I will say, I'll give it to the state. They've been upfront and meeting their commitment, financial commitment that they promised. And I think the services to our citizens have been better. And I appreciate that from the state.
And one of the things I should note is I talked earlier about the non-MIDC controlled cases, those juvenile delinquency, neglect and abuse cases. They're doing a funding study right now through MIDC to bring those juvenile delinquency cases under our umbrella. And so they're saying probably 3 to 4 years down the road, those juvenile delinquency cases will be controlled under those MIDC standards. So that's something we'll have to plan for in the future, but so that kind of takes it away from the contract and would essentially bring it under that umbrella as well.
And I would like to say that I think are negotiating, we've got majority of what we asked for, so I think over 90%. So that's really been surprising that they've agreed to the changes that we wanted to make, so. Is there any more questions for Public Defender Hausman?
Just a thank you for his administration of that department. It's been very smooth transition.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions. We'll move that forward to tonight's business session, and thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You covered that very well. New business item B, Commissioner Jelasinski, would you present that, please?
Yes. Consider approving the commitment of fund balance in the general fund in the amount of $2,235,250 to the Isabella County Sheriff's Office and Correctional Facility Project. Last year, for the first time, we moved the personal tax revenues from the wind farms, Cove Township and the one up north to the jail fund. It's something we've talked about and made a commitment, promised to do over couple of 3 years. And last year we did the first time, and this year there was a little bit of delay. It wasn't part of the budget process, but we needed to know what the true revenues were. And so the total amount of revenues from those 2 wind farms in the county come up to that 2 million plus figure. And we set aside for the jail project. So we're true to the board's wishes to do that. And we continue to work towards that project. Any questions, comments? We'll move this forward then to tonight's meeting for a final decision.
Thank you. Next up would be general public comment. Is there anyone for general public comment?
Connie Lee Bills, Union Township trustee. I just wanted to thank Commissioner Moreno for the comments on the projects we're working on in Union Township. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit on the road. Because we're doing the Lincoln Road and Broomfield intersection right now. The county presented us with this extra project and they're willing to fund half of it. So that's nice for the County Road Commission. So they're doing 250,000, we're doing 250,000, it's $500,000 project. But it's going to create a Class A road there. So that's why we're getting the extra 2 inches of gravel. We're gonna have 6-foot shoulders on both sides of that section. So this is gonna really improve the safety for the students and other joggers and whatnot in the area, because it's gonna create a shoulder all the way down to Lincoln and then up to the bridge on Lincoln too. So that's gonna be really fabulous. That's all I I wanted to talk, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that, but that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Engler.
Yes, I comment. I was at the meetings when you were discussing that and I said it's going to be really nice for tractors going down. Because it's really hard to get across from town. You don't realize how hard it is. There's a lot of farmers going from one side of town to the others and there is no really good access, but that extra wide to get over and let traffic pass, it really is a big safety issue for moving equipment. So
That, and they're doing, and they're also gonna be doing that section from Mission all the way to Isabella, I think, too, redoing some of that. So I don't know the specifics on that, but that's gonna be really cool to have all that, especially by Mission. They're really terrible.
Oh, yeah. Good. Nice.
Didn't know that multimodal included farm tractors.
just try moving equipment sometime when the traffic is really difficult. So
Anyone else for general public comment? Okay, seeing no one else. Announcements, commissioners have any announcements?
just another reminder, October 22nd will be the hazardous waste pickup at the Isabella County Fair from I think it starts at 8 to noon. So
That's a Saturday, correct?
Saturday. Yep. And there is a list on the website of what you can bring. I think the biggest one mistake people bring is they bring latex paint. And they will not accept that because that can be disposed of, but oil-based paints will.
Okay, very good. And the list is on what website?
The Isabella Conservation District
Okay.
website or the Facebook page.
All right, very good. Thank you. Commissioner Jelzinski.
I just want to thank the Conservation District for the tire collection last Saturday. I usually get rid of my tires when I purchase new ones, but I got somebody that keeps wanting to donate them to the ditch in front of my tree farm. So about a year ago, I got rid of 13 of them and now I got rid of another 4. So appreciate that.
Very good. Any other announcements? Commissioner Hutchinson.
Parks and Rec usually has their meeting tomorrow night. We moved it back 1 week. We're gonna have a little ribbon cutting. Project being done.
Very good. Very good. Anything else? Okay, seeing no other announcements, we'll move on. We're going to consider entering into a closed session. We'll need a motion for that.
Chairman, I move that we move into a closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act to discuss collective bargaining agreement strategy.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to consider entering into a closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yeah,
Gamble or something. I
yeah,
don't-
we're adjourned.
Thank you so much, Bunny.